I pray for a child who's just been diagnosed that by the time they reach to this level, there'll be better systems and infrastructures in place, yeah? But in case that is not there, what I'll say is this. You're your child's everything, so don't give up. Invest in your child. Empower your child. Get yourself support networks, yeah? Both a chosen one, where the guys who've gone ahead of you will give you what they used to hack at every stage of life. Patience and consistency is very important, because if you jump around, you'll be conned, you'll be bankrupt, you'll be broke, you'll be heartbroken, you will have PTSD, you will have anger issues, you will have so much going against you. So you need to, pace yourself. And then also you need to just learn that you're gonna have to go through a mourning period, yeah, because you're gonna lose a dream. Maybe you will forgive yourself for losing that, for coming to terms with that or not coming to terms with that. But essentially, pace yourself. Find out from those who've gone ahead of you what has worked, and then tweak it to your own child. Remember, your child is an individual. They're not a collective, yeah? So what worked on mine may not work on yours, but maybe you can take what has worked on mine and tweak it for your child and your environment.
Yeah.
Above all, ensure you're safe. Both of you are safe. And remember, you can hire and fire as many people as you need to, but your child will never have another parent who's their caregiver, and you'll never have another child like that one. You may have other children, but one like that one, no.
It's never gonna.
It's not gonna have. And then also find out what is the real process, because there are too many people here waiting to con you. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to my channel as always, and I have a frequent guest, Jane Moirore. I won't ask her to introduce herself because she's done that so many times. And today the reason I have her is because I want us to talk about transitioning preteens to teenage and to adulthood. And the reason why I'm bringing that topic is because a while back I had Jackie here, and she talked about her child being kicked out of school because he had turned 16 and the school couldn't hold him, didn't have a space for him. So, because you're also getting there, I figured that we are going to have this discussion so that I know how you are preparing for it, and even the audience can know what that is like for you, how you're preparing. Yeah, and I think the first question I want to ask you is, what has been your biggest challenge when you're transitioning your child from preteen to teen? Yeah.
Biggest challenge, finding things that she likes and work with her. Yes.
What do you mean?
Like, she has specific interests. One of her biggest interests has been art. Just finding the right things that are within her range that I can be able to sustain.
Yeah.
When you look at price tags, availability, how often you can get them, that has been my biggest challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
And what are they? Can you mention them specifically?
Okay, one has been paint, a sketch machine, because she wants to sketch stuff for her art, her t-shirts. The cost of paints, acrylics and that, yeah, considering she's a student learner. As far as that goes, also finding different sizes of canvases that she wants, yeah. You'll find that she wants a certain dimension, and then you go looking for them, you find other dimensions other than the one she wants. So you have to have them
And she's very specific.
Yeah, so you have to go custom make them for her. Then there are materials she wants, so you have to go asking people for them. Like one of the biggest challenging materials I've had to look for, yeah. You remember DVDs and CDs, yeah?
Old for Kitambo.
Yes, she wants that, and she didn't want 2 or 3. She wanted a lot of them because she was doing mosaic with them. Yeah, so finding her that was a very big challenge. Yeah, because she needed, I think we ended up with almost 200 pieces that she needed to cut. She already had a pre-drawn mosaic layout with her teacher, so getting it done and at her pace. Yeah, well, that kind of challenge.
The one thing I also wanted to bring up is her sewing, because I don't know how many bundles of sewing minis I've bought. And the last time you gave me a budget, I was like, hold up, when did thread become this expensive? And now she owes me a scarf because I haven't brought the sewing. So I think for A2, her biggest interests have been sewing
And knitting.
and knitting
Yeah.
and painting.
Oh, yeah.
And painting. And so like roughly in a month, how much do you spend when you're buying those things?
It varies month to month.
Mm-hmm.
There are months it will be as little as 10,000, and there are times it goes to like the beginning of this year. I think we spent almost 60,000-70,000. And by the way, I'm not loaded. Those were gifts she got. Yeah, they were gifts she got from my friends and her friends. That and family members. So
Yeah.
she's able to put her things together, and also the fact that she also makes allowances for the fact that she'll give some things to her little sister. So she's very specific, and yeah.
Or when she sews, we gift her in terms of cash so that at least the next whatever she gets, she can put it back to
Yeah, to the next project. And also the interesting thing about her sewing and knitting, yeah, we've realized it's a sensory calming activity for her. So as a preteen, there are times she wants to be away from everyone else, yeah, and she'll just pick her sewing things and go do that. With
Yeah.
art, she wants to sit at the table where you guys can see her. With painting, she knows she needs to go to her space where if she dirtifies, it will be easy to clean. But when she wants calmness and
And
away
me
from
time.
people and me time, she'll take her knitting needles and then she'll go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is in the context of home and hobbies and her interests.
Yeah.
How about society-wise, like school-wise, all those things? Like what have been your biggest challenges?
Boundaries
Yeah.
have been our biggest challenges, especially with society. She doesn't know when people are being sarcastic, malicious, mean. You have to be absolutely extremely evil mean for her to actually get you being mean to her.
Yeah.
Also, she's developing into herself, and she's shy. So when people stare at her or they're getting curious, because I haven't hidden the fact that I'm raising autistic daughters, and people are looking at it and trying to compare what they have seen on different medias versus how my daughter is behaving. Yeah, that has been the biggest challenge.
She catches on.
Yeah, she catches on that people are watching her, and therefore she holds it in together. Yeah, she masks. Then when she comes home now, she steams, and we let
Because
her
she's
steam.
tired.
She's tired of holding it together.
Yeah.
She steams. But how she's found good coping mechanisms on her steaming, yeah? She will walk
Oh, tell me about
and tell you stories as she walks and ask you abrupt questions. So sometimes you can't answer the abrupt question because it is so left or right of a question. Like the other day, she was just walking around and then she just asked me why are her big sisters and cousin not married, and I'm left thinking, okay, what do you understand of marriage? Why are you wondering why they're not married? I told them they're busy loving on you first and foremost. So if they get married, that loving on you that you get and spoiled, it's all gonna happen. Then she went away. Then she came back with another line of questions, and with her, she has to be satisfied. So
You know, the one thing that has stuck with me to date, which is going to be very dark, humor kind of, but anyway, I love dark humor, was the period when I lost my dad. And for her trying to understand that death happens and everything, her only conclusion was people die so that they can make space for other people.
she doesn't have a filter. You notice?
Yeah,
she
and
doesn't
I
have
was
a
like,
filter.
okay.
So she'll just tell you what comes to mind. Yeah,
And
it's the
so-
circle of life.
Like you die, you create space for other people. Like she's very logic.
That answer comes straight out of Lion King.
She's very logic, and I was like, oh, I didn't think of that, but that hurts. But actually,
It's
it
a
makes
fact.
sense.
Yeah, we need space for the next generation.
Yeah, and in school, when you think about now her transitioning, school, society, and which one scares you the most?
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing we are doing is to ensure that she has the necessary accommodations. Yeah. We know there are things she'll never be able to tell. But as long as she has somebody who minds her, she'll be okay. I'm not worried about school. I know formal schooling is coming to an end based on the current setup we have. And we'd have to rethink how we school her until she's ready to go to TVET and upscale her skills. Yeah. So that one is not even something you see, it's around the curve. It's straight ahead of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that train. You remember when I was telling you the train that's coming, yeah?
Yeah.
It's that train. And also looking at the history of what has happened to other children her age and a bit slightly older than her. in our world of special parenting. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good that you've said the train is coming, because in a previous interview that I had with Jackie, she said that her child had been kicked out of school because he was 16, and somehow the system now did not have a place for him. So they unfortunately had to let him go at the age of 16. And that, if you put it in now the typical children, that person is in Form 2. So what are your comments on that?
Well, you can't force people to accept our children. So if they don't have space for us, go where you're wanted. And the only part that hurts is how some schools unceremoniously let you go. They don't give you time to prepare your child or even to plan for yourself. And like a lot of parents, my school has prepared me. Yeah, our school has prepared us that they will not be investing in senior. We're on the CBC system. They will not, junior secondary is the last option for them because they don't have the facility and capacity to handle senior secondary. And then when I look around, even at JSS, the junior secondary, there's no curriculum that is already set. Yes, they have this thing called stage-based and age-based. But you see, for that to happen, you also have to have the curriculum, the texts, the materials. So we parents are left floundering looking for those materials on ourselves. And the school we are in actually really works very hard to give us the facilities. Yes, it's not cheap, but they try. Yeah, and we already know that in 2.5 years or 2 3/4 of an year, we'll be out of the formal schooling system as we've known it for the last now 10 years.
Yeah.
So we have 2 more. So at 12 years, we will be having to look at different options. One of them is homeschooling, and then the other one is upscaling her skills as a homeschooling setup. Yeah.
So just for the audience sake, how old is A2 right now?
She's a preteen. Let's just leave it at that. She's a preteen.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And because I know she loves school, and she gets stressed when she doesn't have to go to school.
Yeah.
Or when for instance, when her older sister had to go to school
Away from her. Yeah.
it really destabilized her.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, will you have conversations with her to start preparing her that change is coming, given that she's a thinker and she tries to make sense of everything that is happening? So based on that fact, how will you handle the situation that comes before the actual train halts?
It started already. Her occupational therapist is part of this conversation. Her other adapted sister, I know she's adapted her own people, are part of this conversation. I know you'll jump on that bandwagon when you guys catch up, have the conversations as you walk and do whatever it is you do together. We've started exploring what happens when school ends. Yeah, she's aware that we will create a classroom for her around home because she has to get out of the house and go to that space.
Yes.
We'll also look for like-minded parents who then we can create probably a play hub or a knob where we get to do things together, such that she'll still have socialization. She will still have extra skills, like she can go swimming with the friends, we can take them for a movie, we can go for an ice cream, we can go to the market together, we can go and do art in the park together. On top of that, we'll have to hire for her a teacher and homeschool her. And her biggest question has been, is A3 joining her?
Yeah.
And we keep telling her A3 will have 3 more years of school before she can join you. And by the time she's joining you, we'll have found you a college.
Yeah.
And that makes her feel very nice because she knows college is for big girls and
She
women.
likes being a big girl.
She likes big. She doesn't want to be a woman, but she wants to be a big girl.
Yeah.
So she knows college is for big girls. Another conversation we've had is that she will never be a boarder like the sister. So she wants to experience everything. So we're using camps to give her that experience because we know she'll never go to a boarding school. That is not an option for us because we want her to grow around her family, her caregivers, and also to start introducing her to society within her limits. Yes. Because there's no special society she's going to. She's going to live in that society. And while doing so, we also need to ensure that we don't take her independence away from her. The independence to arrive conclusively at some decisions will guide her there. Independence to do things on her own. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think what I'm getting is now for all of us around her to intentionally incorporate her in the day-to-day activities of life.
Yeah.
So that if you're doing something and it's PG, what do I want to say? Below, it's not
above. It's above 18. You'll have
That-
to be intentionally be careful how you introduce her to that space, because she has questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
she asks about why people have more than, if people should have more than one boyfriend or something. What was that context?
That one was very. In fact, I don't know how she caught on that one. I think she had it somewhere, and then she came
She
and
overheard a
asked.
conversation.
In this house we are Catholics, yeah. So and also the school she goes to is Catholic. So there's a very clear line of what our family is made of: a man, a woman, and a number of children, and they have to be married in church and all that stuff. So, and to her, marriage is a sacrament. So she's grown up in that space. So somewhere along the way, I don't know whether she had guys talking, or she had it in a class, or where she had it.
Oh my
And she came home and asked, why are people allowed to have 2 wives or 2 boyfriends? Yeah. Now, imagine me trying to explain to a child with cognitive development issues, but that she's actually learned to live past, what it means to have polyandry and polygyny and polygamous. And another point, I had to alert her teachers, because I was like, being a Catholic school, this might bring a war when she raises it in public.
Yeah.
So I had to alert the teachers and tell them this has become a topic, and we're exploring it in the safety of our house, where she understands. And why I have to explain to her that if you ever do have a boyfriend, bring him home, we talk to him. But do not go exploring things without mommy and daddy knowing about it, or your sisters knowing about it. And she went, you, not you. I'll tell my big sister and cousin and teacher Doreen.
You're not the person to have those conversations
No,
with.
she's already decided that I'm not party of that. And also she looks up to her big sister. Yeah, she really looks up to her big sister. So anything her big sister is getting into, she wants to get into. And that's where the whole story of boarding school was coming in, like I should get ready for boarding school. So it's been a discouraging conversation to explain to her that she will not do boarding school. But we're giving her camps. Like she's gone away on 2 trips. Yeah, one was pretty far. It was in Laikipia County. The other one was just here in Nairobi. And when other kids were calling their parents,
She didn't bother calling you.
she didn't bother calling me. She told the teacher she's on vacation, and unless it's a life and death, mommy needs to know, or mommy needs to come for me. I don't need mommy in my vacation. Yeah. And then when we went for family vacation, she decided, after she explored, she realized, okay, so you guys took me to my vacation on a train. The next one I want a flight. So she thought about it. We walked her through the cost of flights and all that stuff. And then adopted big sister tells her, for us to afford a flight, you have to give us some money. So we were trying to give her a target, and we thought we've given her a low target. The other day I was looked into that bag that she puts money, and I realized she's almost paying for a one-way ticket on her own.
And you haven't started putting together money for the other way back.
Not even that, even for the holiday itself. Yeah.
But she has reached her target.
She's reached her target and surpassed it. So I have no grounds to not deliver. So she will logic with you, and she'll go there. And if she feels you're overstepping, she'll even tell you your dumb jokes need to end here. Yeah. Or no, we're not having this conversation. But she wears her heart on her sleeve, so I'm very careful with that. Yeah. And now she's a teen, so emotions are literally on that sleeve. Yeah.
She really does, because even when I come home, I see how she loves me.
Oh yeah.
I know she does.
She's very happy to see you when you come over.
Yeah, and sometimes she'll just see me, she'll lift me up, and then she'll hug me. Then now she'll go about her business. But occasionally, she'll come and peep just to make sure
You're still in the house.
I'm still in the house. Because if I have to go, I have to tell her, now I have to go home. But that business of, now you see me, now you don't, it doesn't work.
You live in a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because
the other time she stopped you in town and reprimanded you for not, because I was not coming home. She said you did something to me.
No, she reprimanded me for you not coming home. And then the next thing she reprimanded me is the kind of shops I was taking her. Okay, it was my first time to take her shopping. She had a clear shopping for her small items. Yeah. But now me, the Kenyan, I took her River Road, Moi Avenue, Tomboya. Woman couldn't take that. She was like, no, this is not what I want. So we ended up uptown.
I think also because of the number of people that are in downtown, maybe it was also...
No, she didn't actually. She was looking for a specific texture, and we were not finding it. So when I finally figured out when we finally found a shop and she found what she wanted in texture, I've made it my job to frequent that shop. for what she wants.
Yeah.
And she's very compassionate, because we were shopping for her, but she made sure we got something for everyone back at home. Everybody got something. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was very personal, like you can't change it. It was specifically targeted at everyone, and she knows what everyone wants. Yeah. And then also she's very astute, because the other day she put me on the carpet and told me, you do everything for everyone, who does anything for you? So I was there telling her, but cousin Tess takes me out, big sister so and so does this. She's like, it's not enough. And then she just walked away. So I know it's something she's thought about, and I think she was targeting someone in that conversation. She just hasn't gone around to telling that person,
You need to act right.
you need to act right. And I know it's coming, whoever that is.
I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah.
So I think because the audience has had by now they've already had an idea of who A2 is. I want us to move into, now she's been kicked out of the system. I hate that I have to use the word kicked out, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
What do you envision continuity for her looking like?
Okay, one, we will have to discuss it with her, but what I've envisioned so far is actually part of ADLs and art and craft.
What is ADL?
Activities of daily living. Yeah, we'll turn one of those into something that she skills. She loves kitchen work. Yeah, you missed out on her rice and stew
And eggs.
and eggs. You should have teacher Doreen tell you how well she did that. Yeah, she loves pastries and baking, so we will look at that and how far she goes with it. We'll also look at art and transferring her art into a commercial venture. Her art is very abstract. So one of the things I'm looking for is a partnership to actually put them on an online shop where we print them. We print them by order. You pick out whatever you need, and then, which is her art, yeah.
And once you buy, we can't have a replace, because
So for most of them we can't.
It might be difficult to get her in that space again.
Yes. So whatever you pick up, once we use it, it's done. So we are looking at that, and then finding her the space to do that artwork confidently, yeah. I enjoy her portraits and her canvases.
She's given me one.
Oh yeah, you're enjoying one in your house. Yes. And interestingly enough, you're the only outsider who's been given art.
Because I'm special like that.
Her grandmother is given drawings, and the other one is given knitted stuff.
She gave me one on a canvas and 3 on a piece of paper.
On a piece of paper.
That she had drawn me and her.
Her
I'm special like
her
that.
ideal family.
I'm special like that.
We're looking at a point where her art is the main thing that she does.
Yeah.
It's part of you see, in Kenya, for you to go to college or TVET, the technical vocational education tech, and considering she's doing pre-vocational subjects right now, yeah, which are like the technical and practical end of subjects, you have to be 18. Yeah, if you're below 18, there's a whole birth certificate, but you can't be 16. Yeah, and formal education is ending at 15. Not because the current school would not want to, but they've realized they are out of their depth in this. And when I look around, I haven't found a place that would actually accommodate her at that age.
Yeah.
So when we come home and we do the homeschooling, we'll have to give her an experience for it. Yeah, I know art will be the central thing. Yeah, and this is art and crafts. They'll be the central thing. Maths will be somewhere in that. For us, English is a language of communication. It's not a subject to examine. I know what on today's curriculum is called agriculture and nutrition, which is what us guys knew as home science back then, will be key as part of her schooling and her learning for 3 years. So we'll specifically look at that, and we'll invest towards that, including a room for her to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So ideally what you're saying is, say now this is your main house, you would need to have another maybe main house with a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, a working room.
Yeah, a sensory place.
A sensory, with everything an autistic child, adult, teen may need.
And a learning space.
So now that will be her learning space. It will be her space to exercise the activities of daily living. And then now her therapists, her teachers will also come in that space and help her transition.
And when putting it together, we also have to consider her sister will be right behind her. Yeah, or even sometimes like weekends, they'll be there together. So we'll have to make those accommodations.
Okay. So like you had said, you don't want to take away her independence when you're going through all this. So how do you balance it out? Like, mommy needs to intervene, here I need to back off. Like, how do you maintain that balance?
I can't say there's a formula to it, yeah. But the one thing I work towards, and also it's her right, is the right for me not to take over her life.
Okay.
Yeah. When she was small, I did that. I took over her life. But now it's reached a point where I can logic with her. Yeah. I can prompt her and we can have a conversation. And from that conversation, I'll pick out what is important to her. So as we're going forward with that decision, I don't take what is important away from her. The biggest thing for her is her privacy.
Okay.
She is very, very private with her issues. So how do I respect, do we get things done, but still respect that? That is where I need to be. But there's no formula when I take this away or we do that. I listen to, between the lines.
And sometimes straight up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the straight up works for me very much so. And sometimes if you're not used to her, you think she's being rude. But it's what it is.
Yeah. She doesn't have, like, because of her, her logic, her approach is logic. She's not emotional. Like when it comes to reasoning, it's logic over emotion. So if you're not used to her, you might think she's rude. But then I've also seen, because for me the other day when I walked into her bedroom and I didn't know she was in her bedroom, she was like, "Cousin Tess, I need some privacy." But I think the people who are close to her get to know it's not hakuna hard feelings. She's just communicating.
Yeah.
Maybe now the people who come in her life are the ones you just give the heads up, like, here we are straight shooters.
No, I don't give them. I don't give them unless I'm dealing with you for service provision. Like if we've gone to a government office or a hospital and you need your services, I will explain. We are autistic here, and you're in for some surprises. But if you come into our space,
it's the space.
It's up to you to adapt very, very, very fast. It's her space first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's not yours. And if you can't take it, you're welcome to leave that space. I'd love you to learn how it is to live with her. But if it's not important to you, please leave, exit left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the fact that schools are kicking out, I'm struggling with this word, but I think it's what it is, kicking out them at 16 to figure it out. Is it a failure on the government? Is it, what's causing that gap?
We don't even have to go to the failure at 16. Let's start at the failure right from the beginning. Yeah. I've been fortunate to have a very supporting family and a network of members who've come into our space. Because if we were to go the public education way, we'd never have made it. Yeah, we never have made it. You find, I know parents who have done, by the time they're doing kindergartens, they've been to 10, 15 schools. And each school is an expense in terms of uniform, clothes. And then others are just ticking a box and your kid is the most famous one in school because they're ever loitering around, yeah? And I think this disservice starts right off from the government's identification of the gaps in education and how to handle disability, because there's enough space for the albinism, visually impaired, hearing impaired, physically disabled. There's enough space for them. It's not adequate, but it's already there. But when it comes to neurodivergent, you find everybody doesn't want to be bothered to deal with it. Even the National Examination Council keeps moving the goalposts on exams, like they either do it as special kids, because being autistic doesn't mean you're not smart or you have a low IQ. No, just like every other population, they have a proper skew. There are those who are on the low spectrum, there are those who are on the high spectrum in terms of intelligence, and it flows. Yeah. So per se, it's a lack of planning, and they should have anticipated. And you see, in a country whereby during our last census they didn't count the neurodivergent.
Why?
Because it was not on their
budget.
No, not even budget. It was not on their score sheet. It was not on their tools of the whatever.
So the disabled were lumped up with the neurotypical people.
Actually, unless you force the census agent to actually enter in the data that this house had a
disabled.
Yeah, and I remember the one who came to me. I was like, you asking me about a boat, I finally found out why maybe living in rural Kiambu was being asked about a boat. But you're not asking about my children who are, that time they were about 5 and something, and what their needs. So I realized the fact that the government is not counting them, it means then they will not plan for them. Yeah. And no matter how much advocacy we have, unless you plan,
it's not going to work.
And intentionally budget and invest for them, then even as a government, then you can sing until the cows come and say you're inclusive, but you're not. And also even how we train people who have to handle our children. Yeah. The unfortunate thing that I've come across is that whenever somebody hears I have a neurodivergent child, they think I'm this rich person who they need to exploit. And sometimes I just look at them and I go like, okay, I really don't need your services. But it also teaches you to be very innovative and creative so that you can just exist. Yeah.
And I think that pretty much answers the question, because if we're not planning, then there's no intervention that can happen, because everything that could have gone wrong started wrong.
Oh yeah. Everything that could, because first and foremost, if they haven't planned for education, why are you taking your child to school?
Yeah.
Okay. They say schools need to be inclusive and integrated. Are schools really that?
No.
Are the special needs teachers are being given normal subject areas? They're not being given the special needs units. And I get annoyed when they call it special needs, because it's not. There's nothing special about it. It's just their unique needs. I mean, it's like telling somebody who has daily intolerance, you have to go take a dairy or suffer. You know, it's just your need at that point. So they need to prepare for that. And then they also need to, and I know we are digressing here, they also need to do it together, not have a multitask kind of place, because there is a whole issue of infrastructure with their sensory issues. Yeah, there is a whole issue of health, education, security. Yeah, like I know I can track my car, but I can't track my child legally. Yeah, which is more important, my car getting stolen or my child getting kidnapped?
Your child's safety is more important.
Exactly. So if it ever comes to that, we'll go to court, or you can arrest most parents who are able to do it.
Yeah.
But it should be the norm, not the exception. Yeah, I mean, it gets very, very, very tiring and exhausting to the point of it's PTSD for most people. I have gone through it, so I know. Without my support network, I'll probably have been buried a few years ago. Yeah, because of what it takes out of you.
Yeah,
it's a fight for everything, literally. Schooling, nutrition, healthcare, infrastructure. Like I can't do public means with my kids because they have sensory issues with noise.
A3 especially cannot have.
Yes. Now then, if I'm using public means, that means I jump into a matatu. The matatu decibels are already crazy enough. Yeah. So that means I need to get them noise cancellations, which are not even enough. That means if I need to move with them, if I'm not driving, which sometimes you cannot drive because you have to be careful with them. They might move any moment. Even when they're strapped down, you might find them jumping out. So there are so many security protocols you have to put in place. Your car lock has a child lock. The drive, you have somebody else to make sure that they don't get out of their belts, and if they do, they don't strangle the driver or get hyper in the car and distract, you know, or one of them lets out. Even you have to warn the driver that if you hear any sudden scream in the car, stick to driving, don't bother looking back, because it's going to be maybe they've seen something, A3 has seen something interesting outside and she's excited and she'll go so it all drops down to planning. And I don't think we have the goodwill currently to say that the plans will be in place for A2 to end up in a senior school. Maybe I do the British system, which is not affordable for everyone. There are sacrifices that will have to be made then among the rest of the family if we end up doing the SEND. It's called SEND, S-E-N-D, just to cover those 3 years. But homeschooling looks like the most appropriate one.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's expensive because costs that you are sharing with other parents in school now are strictly yours.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wind up, because I think, unless there's something I've left out that you would want to speak about?
No. I know if we've left anything out, we'll catch up when next time we're hanging out.
Yeah. So, what advice? Because there's a parent who's watching this and they're like, how have you hacked this journey? what advice would you give to such parents who are starting out this journey, and at some point they will be faced with this thing of the system will kick your child out of school?
I pray for a child who's just been diagnosed that by the time they reach to this level, there'll be better systems and infrastructures in place, yeah? But in case that is not there, what I'll say is this: you're your child's everything, so don't give up. Invest in your child, empower your child, get yourself support networks, yeah, both a chosen one where the guys who've gone ahead of you will give you what they used to hack at every stage of life. Patience and consistency is very important, because if you jump around, you'll be conned, you'll be bankrupt, you'll be broke, you'll be heartbroken, you will have PTSD, you will have anger issues, you will have so much going against you. So you need to pace yourself. And then also you need to just learn that you're gonna have to go through a mourning period, yeah, because you're gonna lose a dream. Maybe you will forgive yourself for losing that, for coming to terms with that or not coming to terms with that. But essentially, pace yourself. Find out from those who've gone ahead of you what has worked, and then tweak it to your own child. Remember, your child is an individual. They're not a collective, yeah? So what worked on mine may not work on yours, but maybe you can take what has worked on mine and tweak it for your child and your environment. Above all, ensure you're safe. Both of you are safe. And remember, you can hire and fire as many people as you need to, but your child will never have another parent who's their caregiver, and you'll never have another child like that one. You may have other children, but one like that one, no.
Never gonna.
So gonna have. And then also find out what is the real process, because there are too many people here waiting to con you.
So that marks the end of our interview, and thank you very much for having us. For the audience, I think by now you have an idea of who A2 is. You have an idea of what she likes, what she doesn't like. You almost can sketch her out if you are asked to. That also means in 2 years she will be transitioning, and we need to be ready, and we need to start preparing for what that life is going to be. The homeschooling, having her therapists in her home that her parents are looking to have, and even just having her transition, because now the system does not have the services that she needs. That means we are going to start introducing bits and pieces of what A2 likes in terms of her paintwork. We'll start showing you what she sews. We'll just start showing you that side of her that we think could help her financially, in terms of us selling her work, her painting, whatever her parents approve that we can put out there, we'll put out there. And we'll ask you to come on board. We will ask you to support her. We will ask you to purchase from them, because whatever money we make from that goes into the project of building that home for her, so that she's able to exercise her activities of daily living in that setting. The reason why it has to be set aside from the home that they are living in is because it has to be fitted with sensory supports. I won't call them machines.
Sensory supporting equipment.
Sensory supporting equipment. Yeah. We need to paint it, right? Because autistic people have an inclination to certain colors and not some. So basically we have to make it comfortable for her. So when we call upon you, please
buy her
art, buy her sewing. It will also encourage her to see that actually people do support what she's doing. And once that is ready, we'll be here again to tell you that it's ready, up and running, and it's go time. Until next time, make good choices, and I'll see you then.